Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, Chapter 150. When we last left our heroes, Nasseh, after hypnotizing all of the bots, quickly hypnotized Rebecca and Weisz again, and would have killed them had Lyra not shown up and kind of made off with Rebecca for her own nefarious purposes. But we learned that Weisz had set a time-activated release for the Arsenal Mark II, which looks really cool, I will say. As Weisz has kind of figured out that Nasseh's hypnosis works through sending electrical signals, and with the Arsenal suit on, Weisz can kind of block all those signals. Meanwhile, with Lyra, Rebecca is off there with Lyra, and Lyra tries to get Rebecca dressed for a show. It's all kind of creepily shot and everything. But Rebecca then suddenly wakes up in a particular future with an older Shiki and Noah. And Noah tells her that she's woken up in the worst possible future as Rebecca has lost her legs. So yeah, all that being said, let's jump right on into chapter 150. And we have no title on our first page. Our picture, we open with Rebecca looking at her mechanical legs and trembling. My legs! And she starts to tear up. And Shiki looks at her, Rebecca. And he just hugs her. There's some fuel for all you Sheikah shippers. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here for you. Also, I should have mentioned in my previously, the last chapter had a very particular moment of Lyra kind of eyeing Rebecca's legs right before she moved into the future. So, maybe she's at an immediate risk of losing her legs, as soon as she gets back to the present. Who knows? But anyway, Rebecca is just bawling. And Noah tells her, I didn't mean to scare you, but this is the world we're living in. And I think it's important for you to learn the reality of this world and time before you return. Okay, this is definitely going to be some kind of warning of what could happen. And we'll see if it stems from this, Poseidon War, or if it's going to be tied into some future event. And she turns to look at Noah, and Noah says, you... ... and lost legs, been in coma years, and Rebecca tries to stop him. Master, I can't make out what you're saying. So yeah, she's only hearing parts of things. Shiki then says, when it happened, everyone on the Eden Zero dead. That's not good. Okay, I think we need to know what's happened. And Rebecca turns to him, Shiki. And Shiki tells her, if anybody can change this, it's you. You can make sure you never reach this future. Not that we really know what happened, given that Rebecca can't really hear them. And Rebecca starts to kind of droop. My vision is getting blurry. And then she wakes up, in the present, still with her legs intact, as is the first thing she notices. My legs, they're still there. But what am I wearing? And we see she's in this, Playboy bunny outfit Lyra has got her in. And she gets up. I'm back. Was that a dream? Or did I jump to the future? Either way, it was really bleak. Still, Shiki was kind of hot as a grown-up. Alright, even more fuel for the Sheikah shippers. But Rebecca starts to rise. It has me worried. But it's not the future for the world I'm in now. Even if it is, I have the power to change it. And then she looks around, seriously, why am I wearing these clothes? But there's an interesting thing going on there, because as I pointed out, Rebecca really doesn't know what happened in that future. She didn't see anything of it. She knows that she lost her legs, and that the rest of the crew besides Shiki is dead. She doesn't know how that happened, why that happened, when that happened. So, maybe she can change it, but she wouldn't know how to change it, unless she gets some more future visions. Anyway, just then, a light flashes on, and Lyra is here in this, ostentatious auditorium that's sort of decked out in this kind of under the sea vibe, maybe? And she's, talking like a vlogger or something. Hey everybody, it's the moment you've been waiting for. Time to start this week's deep sea party. And we see there are like fish. There's a whole crowd I hadn't noticed. Fish kind of swimming in the air, very Aoi Cosmos, very deep sea as well. Rebecca looks around. Huh? What is going on? And then Lyra points out Rebecca. For today's challenger, hailing from the Sakura Cosmos, we have Beecuber Rebecca. And remember, we're going to stream this totally unedited on the Aoi net. Okay, after all I complained a lot last week about the chapter's treatment of Rebecca in the present, specifically, and that bit about unedited on the net has got me a little bit. It's kind of reviving those worries. And Lyra kind of whispers over to Rebecca. So I didn't get to explain because you were passed out, but I'm having you as a guest on my show. What? Who are you? Right, Rebecca was completely hypnotized when she met Lyra. She has no idea who this is. And Lyra tells her, I'm Lyra. I work for the Empire. The enemy? Yup. So we're gonna have our fight here. I mean, we might as well make a spectacle out of it, right? I mean, we're seeing a lot of Lyra's personality here. She's very sort of ostentatious, very showy. She's here to make a show of things. Whenever she can. Anyway, Rebecca turns the conversation back to her. But why am I dressed like this? You gotta look good for the camera. We are broadcasting this for the world. And Rebecca then kind of covers up. Broadcasting? And Lyra brings out what I'm guessing are a pair of jokers. We can only see one of the cards. Or no, maybe there's like 4 cards. And just one of them is the joker. This is the game we'll be playing. Lost card. So yeah, there has been a lot of hints that Lyra has some kind of card-based ether gear. And I'm guessing we're right about to see that. And Rebecca kind of presses a card game. And then we cut to Weisz and Nasseh, who are still mid-fight. Nasseh in his like knockoff Hulkbuster outfit, and Weisz just dodging the barrage of bullets. And Nasseh laughs, ha ha ha, this is fun. And Weisz calls after him, what are you doing stomping all over these buildings? And now Nasseh kind of changes from like the laser bolts he was doing to now doing actual like physical missiles that Weisz barely ducks out of the way from as the missiles explode all around him. And then Weisz snaps back, isn't this your home planet? And he shoots at Nasseh, and the beam just deflects off of the suit. Ether coating? I told you, remember? This is the Empire's latest model. And Nasseh raises the suit's arm, and summons this, like, flurry of spheres. What is that? And the spheres all come towards Weisz, who just has to, try to dodge out of the way with his life. Whoa! And Nasseh laughs, ah ha ha ha. It's just like a shoot-'em-up game, am I right? And Weisz continues to dodge just like the bullet hell he's stuck in. Of course, kids nowadays don't know the term. It's a video game subgenre. When kids talk about shooting games, they mean first or third person shooters. You and a gun walking around. I feel like we're getting a little bit off topic here, Nasseh! I mean, I will say though, something about kids nowadays makes me think back to the fact that Weisz is from 50 years in the past, and that could become kind of... like, maybe Weisz has played bullet hell games, and so he kind of knows the tricks, and that will be how he ends up beating Nasseh, possibly? Anyway, but in the old days, a shooting game meant that you dodge barrages of enemy fire. And Weisz looks at him, the old days? What days are you talking here? Sorry, but my sense of time is kind of skewed. Back in my day, shooting games were all about shooting things! And he gets this giant laser beam he shoots toward Nasseh. Kids these days have no idea about the 16 shots per second record. And Weisz just keeps on shooting. So I guess I'm not familiar enough with the history of the shooting game genre. But like I thought games like Galaga and Space Invaders, I guess. I was not much of an arcade kid growing up in the aughts. But I thought those were like kind of very early games. And that the idea of, well, I guess even like Galaga, you shot with your own little gun. Still, the idea that like Weisz is from a time before bullet hells before those kinds of arcade shooters is sort of weird. I mean, also just the whole concept of what is gaming history in this world, the whole well we've never really gotten into. Anyway, Weisz just keeps on shooting Nasseh, and Nasseh taunts, "Hello, your ether bullets aren't going to work." And Weisz thinks, so I need to fire stronger rounds. But if I try anything, excuse me. But if I try anything stronger, the Mark II won't be able to make it. What do I do? And then he comes up to an answer, running at Nasseh. Duh. The answer is obvious. And he just punches him. And it does very little immediately. So you want to go fist to fist? You know the latest model, Ken. And Weisz, the machina maker, says, "You made a big mistake when you decided to get in the machine." And using his ether gear, he starts to manipulate Nasseh's suit. What's happening? And the suit starts to kind of come undone. "Are you remodeling my sea devil?" And Weisz runs past him. Mortal crash! Wah! I don't quite know what that did exactly. But so the arms are starting to explode, it looks like. And is like one of his shins is sort of coming undone. It's not looking great. What happened? Why is my night gear? And then he turns to Weisz. We see he's like missing both arms at this point. A good chunk of his chest. There's just like the slightest like outline of a spine holding the top part of the suit up. The legs are also cracked, but not as damaged. "Is this your ether gear?" "Yup, the power to reconfigure machines. I can even destroy them if I feel like it." And Nasseh starts to kind of taunt, "That's cheating! That ether gear is no fair! Look who's talking!" Yeah, after everything that Nasseh did, it's not great. Though we also see, I didn't notice earlier, but now, at the bottom right of page 16, we see that Arsenal's faceplate is kind of cracked, very slightly. And Nasseh activates his ether gear, but I'm still going to win. And I'm curious if that little crack is going to allow an opening for the hypnosis to come through. Yep, I was right, because just then, the faceplate shatters, revealing most of Weisz's face. "Your suit is broken, and you said it was your suit that was blocking my hypnosis? That means..." And the whole helmet comes off, and Weisz grins. Maybe... So, hold on, here's a question never quite answered. How does ether gear work exactly? Because if ether gear is itself mechanical, can Weisz manipulate his opponent's ether gear? Because that would explain Weisz's confidence on this panel on page 17. And Weisz responds, "I told you, remember? Once I know it's electrical signals, I can find all kinds of ways to block it." And Nasseh starts to panic. "What's happening? Why can't I use my powers?" "I set up signal jammers all over town. Or to be precise, I remodeled the town to include them." Oh, so it's not that Weisz can affect his ether. It's that Nasseh's ether specifically uses electricity, which is Weisz's strength. That's a really neat application of Machina Maker. I really like it. And I'm glad it's not just actually Weisz can manipulate any opponent's ether gear if he wants to. This is just a much better concept. "And I remodeled the ground while I was at it. Million bullets!" And just a whole like slew of rifles pop up from the ground and start shooting at Nasseh's suit. "How is your ether so strong? No, it's reached its critical state? Is this overdrive?" Oh, and that's where we leave off, with Weisz's overdrive. Okay, so is this arc just the everyone does overdrive arc? Because it's only been like 3 or 4 chapters since Homura used her overdrive. And I will say, as a point of criticism, this overdrive is not quite as effective as Homura's. It feels kind of tacked on. Like, this feels like something that Weisz would have done already. Especially, like, the signal jammers. Maybe the sheer number of bullets is a little bit out of his abilities without overdrive. But as a result, overdrive just feels kind of tacked on. It's like Weisz wins, and then it's like, oh, by the way, here's Overdrive. Which is fine. Like, it's not actively bad or anything. Excuse me. But it's not as impactful as, say, Shiki's first Overdrive against Draken or Homura's against Milani. It's just it just feels kind of there. It's just like, yeah, here's Wise's Overdrive. The design is cool. I like the kind of he has this kind of pattern that looks very sort of like a computer chip on his legs, and his like hands look sort of robotic. The way, like, does he have like a coat that's sort of billowing up behind him? Ever since I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! As a child and saw Seto Kaiba, there is nothing I love more than billowing cloaks in the wind. So that's always a win for me. But like it's a cool design. It's just narratively it feels kind of unneeded. It's not like last time where Homura was like pushed to her limit and then was able to use Overdrive. It's just sort of, oh yeah, here's Overdrive. Like, it's fine. It's not bad. It is definitively not bad. It's just sort of there. If you take out the last page, I don't need this to be Overdrive for this fight to work. Anyway, talking about that aside, let's talk about the rest of the chapter, starting with Rebecca. We'll get back to Weisz in a sec. With this sort of cursed future of her having lost her legs, gone into a coma for some number of years. So presumably that happened in our own time, is my guess. There's been a few, like, Shiki only looks maybe 3 or 4 years older. So that, whatever happens to put Rebecca in her coma has to be soon. I personally don't think it's going to be Lyra. I think that little legs tease from last week is a bit of a red herring. But I do think that it will happen sooner rather than later. Maybe by Shora, maybe by Nero, maybe Ziggy. I don't know. There are so many pieces at play in this arc that really, there are so many things that could happen that I can't quite say what will happen yet. But then we come to Lyra, the bunny girl outfit, which is a thing. I'm not big on it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And then this card game, which I'm guessing will be the focus of next week's chapter, now that Nasseh is down for the count. And Rebecca versus Lyra is kind of the only active fight right now. At least I'm assuming Nasseh is down for the count. It's technically possible he could get up, but the chapter is very much kind of framed as Nasseh's defeat. So I'm guessing next week will be like Rebecca versus Lyra, or maybe it'll be like a 2 or 3 part fight, maybe. Anyway, we then have the actual Weisz versus Nasseh fight, which is just a lot of fun. There's the never-ending hail of bullets, as Weisz runs around, both to avoid the bullets, but also to set up his big twist in the end. That as he's been kind of flying around town, he set up signal jammers all over town. Which stops Nasseh from sending out his electric signals, and kind of immobilizes him. That and Machina Maker, and Machina Makering his suit sort of leaves Nasseh unable to fight. Which allows Weisz to take the victory, in a really neat way. It's a good fight all around. It's just that Overdrive bit feels really, really perfunctory. It's not really adding anything to the fight. It's just sort of there. Which, again, isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just not, after how great Shiki and Homura's introductions to Overdrive were, it's just kind of a step down. But that being said, we're now 2 of the Ocean 6 are down. 3, actually, with Psyche dead. And only 2 more are still on the planet. Fabiano is off at Nero 1, I think. So there are only 2 more to fight. There's Lyra, that Rebecca will handle next week. And then Callum, who... I don't know who's going to fight Callum. Because, like, Shora is obviously Shiki's big fight. I guess the ex-Draken Gang could come down for that, maybe? Given right now, Jean is doing nothing but hanging out on the ship with Couchpo and helping fix, Sister and Hermit. And Clean and Laguna are just kind of fighting the drones. They could come down and do it, maybe. Maybe that will just also be Shiki, and then the whole gang will fight Shora this time? Possibly. I'm not really sure. And speculation will, in the end, kind of get us nowhere. So yeah, all in all, it's a fun chapter. Its big final panel is, again, just kind of there. But that doesn't really diminish how fun a fight Weisz versus Nasseh is. And we have plenty of Rebecca foreshadowing to look forward to for the future, both next week with Lyra and the distant future with her loss of her legs and the coma. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for this week's chapter. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, life is your own, okay? Bye!